Hello, and welcome to Be Prepared to Heal, Episode 2. This one is on bruises and bumps. I'm sure that all of us have experienced bruising and bumping accidentally, and sometimes that's a minor situation, and sometimes not so much. Sometimes, if you know the right things, you can deal with it and not have a bruise. And other times the bruise lasts for days and sometimes weeks. So let's dig into this situation. Bruises occur when small blood vessels called capillaries break under the skin. As you age, these blood vessels become more fragile and the layer of fat thins, and therefore sometimes the smallest thing can cause a bruise. Skin becomes thinner and more fragile, and sometimes that's due to the nutrients available to protect and to repair the skin and the tiny blood vessels that control it. So let's dig into this situation. Hi, my name is Mary Bourne. I'm a naturopathic doctor called a traditional naturopath. I am not a medical doctor, and the information that I'm giving to you comes from resources that I've attached in the description below, as well as from my life experiences. Natural remedies are a favorite subject of mine because I've seen so many times where they work. And oftentimes they help supplement the nutrients we take in from our food, and sometimes don't take in because our diets are not as good as they should be. So natural remedies have been used on humans for hundreds, even thousands of years. The subject matter can be described all the way back, sometimes the Bible and word of mouth before even words were written down. And sometimes even in hieroglyphics or hieroglyphics, all of the herbs and remedies have a long history of use, and use basically safely when used properly. So what happens when we bump and a bruise forms? The blood vessels under the skin break, and that trapped blood is what creates that bruise, that discoloration that occurs through our skin. And actually, the lighter the skin, the more you see the bruise. You can enhance bruise healing with a few simple techniques. So we're going to go over the techniques that I've used to kind of erase a bruise. And some of the nutrition that I feel is important for assisting the body in the healing process. Nutrients are needed for repair and healing. Building new cells. Some essential nutrients are required for cellular function that cannot be produced by the body. And vitamin C is one of those things. Some animals, maybe even most, have the ability to produce vitamin C. We don't. And in fact, when the first Americans would hunt, the person that actually got the kill was the one who was able to open up, this is gross, open up the animal and pull out the adrenals, and that's where animals store their vitamin C. So we don't have that ability, and therefore that's one of the things that we should be taking in either as a food source or supplement source. So other things that the body needs are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And these are what is called macronutrients. We also have things that are important as micronutrients. Now, proteins are what build the cellular structure to create tissue. Fats help cushion those cells so that they don't bump against each other or bleed into each other. And the best fat we know of is omega-3. We get plenty of omega-6 and omega-9 through our food, through the oils that we choose, but very little omega-3. It is way out of balance. We need to consume more omega-3. And I will give you a link in the description below for the resource where I got some of this information. Now, what happens when an injury occurs and just before the bruising process arrives, blood and lymph rush to the injury site to begin the healing process. Nutrients are needed for repair and building new cells, and circulation is needed to remove damaged and dead blood cells so that new cells can replace the old. Now, one of the techniques that I have used that I thought to be so beneficial was what's called light touch healing. Now, the actual touch is very soothing, very calming. It actually can give comfort to people. When you are bumped, all of these ambulances come to the area and they create congestion. It's sort of like, there's an accident on the highway and the traffic slows down because is anybody hurt? Balking at the accident. And so there's this huge congestion that occurs. Now, a lot of ambulances will come to the rescue. Maybe only one or two are needed, but a lot of them will come just in case. Now, the rest have to leave. Well, now, if you've got this congestion of traffic, those other ambulances can't leave, nor can the ambulances with the injured parties leave. They have to get through that congestion. So oftentimes you have policemen directing traffic, trying to get the traffic flowing again. Well, one of the things that light touch healing does is gets the traffic going. Now, our automatic response to an injury is to rub it. Now, if we don't rub it long enough, the congestion stays there. You may move a few things around, but you're not actually controlling the traffic that needs to be controlled. So light touch healing helps to keep that traffic flowing, and you do it for sometimes up to 5 minutes, depending on the injury. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of times the drawer or door of my dishwasher, I leave it open and then I forget about it, and bang, I'm right into it. I sit down, I rub that area until there is no more pain. So if you stop and you still feel where you bumped yourself, you need to keep it going. So light touch technique or therapy is something that many nutritionists and natural healers know about. we understand that in order for something to heal, you've got to have this really good flow of blood and lymph to get in there and respond. Now, there isn't time in these sessions for me to go more deeply into the healing part and what the lymph carries as far as infection fighters and all that. But I do have a class on circulation that is on my YouTube link, and perhaps you can go to that and study more about it. So this technique has helped me in so many cases. Now, when do you not want to use that? You don't want to use it if there is bleeding. You need to control the bleeding first before you do any rubbing or massaging, because remember, what we're doing is increasing circulation. Well, if you're increasing circulation, you're also increasing the bleeding. So containing it is the most important thing. You can put a gauze on it, wash the wound. We're going to talk more about cuts in episode 3. So making sure that there's no infection in whatever that injury is really important, because you don't want the bloodstream to carry that infection with it. You want to have a spray or something to clean out the wound. And then you want to compress. So in other words, control traffic by compression. And then once you've got it under control, then you let it go, bandage it, wait for the bleeding to stop. Then you can do something called light touch therapy. Now, the light touch is, well, there's light touch and then there's no touch. And basically, this is no touch. You're simply doing this. You're above the skin by a half an inch and just doing this. And what that does is it sends signals to the rest of the body that they need to pay attention to this wound, that it needs healing. And once the bleeding has stopped or the burn or bite is done, then you can use other things like essential oils or salves. So let's get back to the healing of a bruise. Here's a salve that I use. I have how to make a basic salve in I will try to put it in the description. But the salve that I use is a base of olive oil, and sometimes I use grapeseed oil and beeswax to thicken it up. I also like to use comfrey oil. Now, comfrey oil is you put dried comfrey in oil, and then I warm it like in a double boiler. And you never let it come to a boil, but you keep it warm for about 10 minutes. Then you squeeze out the comfrey through a mesh bag, and then that's comfrey oil. And I've used that as a base with a lot of healing. Comfrey has a lot of wonderful nutrients in it that support healing. And then from that base, I will often add other oils. Now, for bruising, I love the blend called Taifu. Now, Taifu is a proprietary blend. It's from Nature's Sunshine, and you know how much I love Nature's Sunshine if you watched any of my videos before. But Taifu actually increases circulation to an area. It also has lavender oil, and lavender is a tissue healer. So that blend is a really nice additive for the basic salve. You can apply the salve if pain occurs. So in other words, if it's not a serious bump or bruise and you've erased it by rubbing it, then you probably don't need to use the healing salve. But I have used it when, like the dishwasher incident, where I've actually scraped the skin, no bleeding. I could see where the skin has torn a little bit. And I knew that there would be a bruise there if I didn't do something about it. You can feel the heat. The heat is already, you can, at the touch, you can feel heat coming from your skin. You can feel the heat where you didn't bump, then feel where you did bump. And if there is heat where you did bump, then use something to help displace that heat, because that means there's blood in the area. The most important thing is to rub and increase the circulation. And then if you have something available like this salve, then you can use that. Now, remember, you do not want to go near your eyes with anything that has menthol in it, because that can be painful. Your eyes can water, and not a good thing. Now, in the description below, there will be a 25% discount link. So the next thing is delivering nutrients to help heal. Now, food is our best medicine. However, some of you are on the journey from a processed kitchen to a healthy, nutrient-dense kitchen. And in that process, you still do not have the nutrients needed for healing. And so you're slow healing. Now, if you take the proper balance of the major nutrients like proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and we realize that the most balanced protein that has the most essential amino acids is animal products. If you are doing vegetarian, you need to make sure that you're combining so that you have a good balance of the amino acids. And some of them are difficult, and so you may have to take that in supplement form. But if you eat good grass-fed butter, good grass-fed and grass-finished beef, or pasture-raised chicken, eggs that are cleanly, the chickens are clean eating, then you really are getting a good balance of proteins. And fats, we need to make sure that we're taking in the good omega-3 essential fatty acid. I actually supplement because I do have a situation where I have thin skin. When they take my blood pressure, if I didn't take good omega-3 essential fatty acids, I would bruise easily because it is painful for me to get my blood pressure taken. The compression actually causes the skin to be thin. So I do take a lot of supplements to help create better skin and capillary health. When I was out of the hospital last year, they put me on blood thinners, and a week on the blood thinners, my nose started bleeding like crazy. And so I stopped taking the blood thinners, and like 4 days later, I was due to see the doctor, and he agreed. The nosebleeds should not be taken lightly, especially if they happen like me every single morning, sometimes 2 or 3 times throughout the day. So the medication you're taking can make a huge difference. If you are bruising easily, make sure that you're talking to your medical doctor and telling them the fact that you're bruising easily. If you carry something on your arm and that for a short distance and that leaves a bruise, that's capillary fragility, and you need to do something about it. Now, one of the things that I also did was I took citrus bioflavonoids. I love citrus bioflavonoids. Early on, I've been taking them for, I want to say 35, maybe 40 years, because that was when I would have bloody noses, and I could just go like that and end up with a bloody nose. But ever since I take the citrus bioflavonoids, that doesn't happen. I rarely get a bloody nose, and there are tools that they can use to determine the amount of capillary fragility that your body has. So what have we learned so far? Well, we've learned the importance of healthy circulation and rubbing a bruise, how important that is to increase that circulation. We've also learned when not to rub, and nutrition is vital in healing. So eating proper food, look into Mary's Nest. I referred to her often, has a wonderful YouTube video called Mary's Nest, and she teaches people how to go from a processed kitchen to a really healthy type kitchen. And she does it in a way where you have options, where you are and how you can increase your healthy ingredients and work toward that until you're doing wonderful things like broth and sourdough and things that help gut healing and a majority of things. I'll leave a link in the description below. If you've enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, comment. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe and share this important message. Also remember that helpers are in plants. I love plants. I love gardening. My other venue is Gardening with Granny, and I teach all about how important that this can be. If you are interested, there are more tools on my YouTube channel. Next lesson will be all about cuts and how we can help our bodies heal from them. Remember that your body is designed to heal, so make sure that you're assisting it in the healing. So until then, this is Dr. Mary for the Health of It.